So just in terms of a bit of an intro, a bit more on me, I'm a partner at Shoosmiths, head of the fintech offering for the firm. I'm also heavily involved in our blockchain digital asset subsector and also a member of the techUK Financial Services Council. I'll give it to Erica to do a bit of an introduction himself.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Vicky. I'm 𝗬𝗬𝗿𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗴. I work as a product designer for Volta, a London-based startup. We're doing immersive interaction platform for, well, first VR, now mixed reality. Yeah, it's nice to be here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm 𝗬𝗬𝗿𝗶𝗴. I'm the Managing Director within 𝗜H Technologies Banking Capital Market Sector, which covers the work we do with retail banks, investment banks, asset wealth managers, as well as commercial real estate firms. I also have a large passion on Web3. I run our thinking around Web3, digital assets, and blockchain. So, nice to be here.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you. I'm Christina Yan-Zhang. I'm the CEO of the Metaverse Institute. So we mainly advise the United Nations, governments, investors, big institutions on how to identify effective use case of frontier technology. So I lead a few projects at the United Nations through the International Telecommunication Union. Some of you know they are the UN agency for setting up international standards around ICT. So I'm currently co-chairman for the ITU working group on using frontier technologies, whether it's AI, digital twins, Metaverse, to develop the pre-standardization for the Cityverse, which is all about, people-centered, citizen-centered future smart city. Another area we're focusing on is as the vice chairman for the ITU working group on Metaverse, with focus on addressing the global digital divide, so accessibility, inclusion, as well as sustainability. Very nice to meet you all. I'm very excited to working and learning from all the other experts and colleagues today. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. My name is 𝗦𝗂𝗃𝗿𝗵𝗵𝗿. As it says there, I'm the head of Extended Reality Solution. Yeah, it's quite a fancy job title. But we actually truly empower our engineers, our frontline workers through mixed reality. CBRE, for those of you who know, is a multi-billion company, 30 billion turnover last year. We have retail, we have advisory, and also we have facilities management across the globe. Over 25,000 technicians working for most of the FTSE 500 companies in the world, providing facilities management services, retail all over the world, funding, as well as advisory. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. One of the rules for, they say, for chairing panel sessions, for the chair to be as neutral as possible, but to prompt the right questions. I'm going to hopefully be prompting the right questions, but what I'm very keen to do on this panel session is to get both sides of the debate going, and hopefully to have a proper conversation that involves a little bit of perhaps controversy or slightly sort of unsettled points, so that we can get a really good understanding of the metaverse and the technologies that underpin it. Before we get started, just a little bit of context, and believe it or not, a little bit of poetry. The tech world, as we know, is evolving, it's very fast moving, it's full of jargon, lots of new things happening all the time. And there's no denying, as we mentioned before, that there's lots of acronyms and terms that have hit us in recent years: blockchain, cryptocurrency, AI, NFTs, ETFs nowadays, and of course Web3 and the metaverse. But what exactly is the metaverse and what exactly is Web3? How do those two things work together, if they do work together, and how are they different? Well, why should anyone care about this? There's no denying that there's a lot of activity and investment when it comes to Web3 and metaverse. The stats are pretty hard to come by, and without contradicting Rory stats from earlier on, there's no denying that currently people are seeing the metaverse market be worth billions in a few years' time. In fact, one particular report from McKinsey's is showing that it's got potential to be worth $5 trillion dollars in 2030. We've also seen some big names do some very interesting things in this space. We've obviously seen Facebook rebrand as Meta. And another example, of course, is Microsoft and its big acquisition of Activision late last year, all showing that anything that's Web3 Metaverse is clearly something to pay attention to. Now for the poetry before we get started. You guys may have seen on our LinkedIn feed that one of my colleagues, JT over there, Joe Turner, asked a Gen AI tool to generate a poem for today's event. And that's exactly what the tool did. I'm going to read that poem now. And here goes. The Metaverse and Web3. A new frontier of the internet where users create and explore. A virtual world of infinite possibilities where reality and fantasy blur. A smarter and more intuitive web where data is understood and shared. A semantic network of intelligence where context and meaning are clear. Together they form a vision of a future that is near. A metaverse of Web 3.0, where we can be who we want to be. Well, I think that's really cool. And that's all done from prompts and a Gen AI tool. After I read that and I thought that was pretty cool, the second thing that I thought as a lawyer was, who owns the copyright in that? And do I have to pay JT some performance royalties for reciting this? Now, moving on to the panel, collection of different views, different experiences, and great experience for the panel. Starting off with basics, the term metaverse is used by lots and lots of people. It'd be good to understand how you guys define the metaverse and how you guys see it differentiating itself from Web3. Who wants to go first?
Shall I? So, great question. Thank you. Obviously, we didn't plan that. And I think it's important to understand, there's a lot of misunderstandings. So I think it's important to demystify some of the misunderstandings, misconceptions, visions, ideas. For me, it's very simple. The metaverse, I repeat, the metaverse, and I call it with a capital M, the big M, the one that Max Zuckerberg, Satya Nadella, and others envision, where we're all going to be one player, via headsets, living out lives from the sofa, conquering the world, the galaxies, doesn't exist. Just let's make that clear today. That vision of the metaverse with a capital M does not exist. The same way that the Web 2 did not exist 30 years ago, back in the 90s when we started the internet. So the idea of Max Zuckerberg and Meta and Facebook and many others, today still this technology is not invented in order to enable to make that the metaverse decentralized, interoperability, 3D experience, etc., etc., etc. It'll probably take another 10, 15 years before we see that. What we've got today, that's what is key. We have metaverses, and that is with a small m. Metaverses are in three buckets. We have the consumer metaverse, who hasn't played here with Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite, who hasn't gone to Tesco Land or hasn't gone to Nike Land. Today, there is already what we call walled garden areas, walled garden environments, in which today you can already experience to a certain degree what the metaverse is going to look like in the next 10, 15 years. Then there is another bucket, the enterprise metaverses. Again, metaverses, plural, small m, not the big M. The big M, forget about it. Let's revisit that in 10, 15 years. Today we are in the metaverses. So from a consumer point of view, I've got a kid, I've got a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old. They are already in the consumer metaverse. They are already playing with Roblox. They are already playing with Minecraft. So that is, for me, one key distinction between two metaverses. The one of today, and for probably the next 10 years. And after the consumer metaverse, we have the enterprise metaverse. That's Teams, that's Zoom, Today, you can already go to Microsoft Teams and engage in a 3D environment. Again, walled garden, those are silent environments. Very important to understand that. Today, you may buy Nikes in the consumer metaverse, but you cannot take Nikes into your avatar image in Teams on the enterprise level. But why? Because there is no interoperability. The same way back in the 90s, there was no open protocols for internet. So that's where we are in the same intersection. And the last but not the least, and the one I spend most of my time in CVRE is the industrial metaverse. The industrial metaverse is what we used to call in the old days IoT, digital twins, BIMs, 3D CAD. Now we put it all together in the same packet. We call it industrial metaverse. We had a few avatars, a few 3D experience, and happy days. So that's the distinction I wanted to make between the metaverse in the vision in the next 10 or so years, and today the three different types of metaverses: the consumer, the enterprise, and the industrial metaverse, which is the one I live in CVRE, providing industrial metaverse experiences for our CVRE engineers, technicians, project managers, auditors, you name it. Thank you. That was a long answer. Apologies.
If I may just add some more points to the main response by 𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃. And I'll distinguish between two things: the centralized metaverse and the decentralized metaverse. So, if I describe what I think the decentralized metaverses is the ones which we can mention are walled gardens, right? This is where you are joining a platform which requires you to have perhaps hardware as well as a software platform where you can buy applications and interact in the virtual worlds. You're thinking of the likes of Meta, you're thinking of the likes of Microsoft or 𝗬𝗏𝗏, right? A lot of people are already doing this. Secondly, you've got the concept of decentralized metaverse, right? Where you are now using blockchain technologies, Web3 technologies to interact in a virtual world. You might have heard of a company like Decentraland or the Sandbox. I think there's somebody from 𝗦𝘂𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, where the idea is that using blockchain technology, you're logging into a metaverse, which is not 3D, which is not virtual. You just log in by a desktop, but you need a digital wallet to interact, to play that metaverse, to buy virtual land, to attend concerts, maybe, or even attend a seminar. Last week I attended the health week within the Decentraland, and that was, you had funky things going on, such as Ayurvedic medicine talks. You had basically the ability to interact and enjoy meditation workshops, all in virtual land with your avatar, right? So there's a key distinction between what a closed garden or a central metaverse and decentralized metaverse. And last question, sorry for that.
But again, the decentralized sandbox, those still are walled gardens today. They are silo environments. Today, those are no environments where you can jump from one space to another. You buy £10 or £50, nice Nike. I feel like I work for Nike, by the way. So Zara, I'm going to use Zara jacket, and you cannot jump from one to another and break that. You need to go back there, and those no even crypto today or no even blockchains work across these platforms. So for me, those platforms still, yes, the name is decentralized. Ultimately, they are walled gardens, and those are living on the consumer metaverse environment.
Yeah, I suppose to make the point clear, I say that decentralized, it means it's not perhaps run by a central corporate, run by DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. Therefore, it's more decentralized, and there's a foundation which is run as opposed to a profit-making entity. I want to ask you a question to the audience, just to understand, because, as I said, in these closed metaverses, you need to have perhaps the hardware and software. How many people here have actually got a MetaQuest headset or something of that like? Very few ones. Just says it all. And how many of you actually got a digital wallet like a MetaMask, which allows you to sort of interact, buy stuff using cryptocurrency? Again, a few hands for one. Interesting, okay. Sorry, I'll pass it.
No, good. Maybe I'm going to step in your position, Vicky. My nature is also to question stuff, right? So I'm a product designer. So I sometimes still have a lot of discussions with people about is this actually a thing? Is the metaverse actually coming? Why do we need this? And I think before explaining what is this, it's okay, but why, right? And I think for me, it's very clear that it's already there. It's already here. It's just the technology is not here. It's getting there. But I mean, like, how long are we spending time on the computer and all our devices? Like, I mean, me personally, the whole day from morning until the evening. And but that's not ideal when you try to, make whatever you are trying to do, right? It's not. We have to learn how to use these devices, and for me, like, the metaverse is going to be just a very natural way when we get so far in technology of how to interact with everything we have to do. So yeah, for me, it just makes completely sense. Just wanted to add that.
And I think perhaps if we go back to the very beginning of the whole concept of metaverse, coined by Neil Stevens in 1992, it's really focusing on the virtual reality user interface to interact within like the wider, human society. But that was like 30 years ago. The world's first metaverse platform is called Second Life. In case some of you might remember, it was created by Linden Lab, based in San Francisco, where they are perhaps the world's first proper metaverse. And I think at that time.
Hold the mic a bit closer, please.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Can you hear it now? Apologies. Yeah, and it's quite interesting because I started the journey in 2006 when I was doing my master's dissertation, looking at how to use Second Life, the world's first metaverse platform, to develop international strategy for universities worldwide. And then we were looking at how to use digital twin in a metaverse environment to simulate and optimize for construction, engineering, architecture projects, which is now seems to be very popular within the wider smart city, development worldwide, especially in NEOM, Saudi Arabia, the $500 billion mega project where they are using a whole range of technology within the metaverse ecosystem. So I think maybe from the Metaverse Institute's perspective, we define the metaverse as a whole ecosystem where you see a whole range of technologies, whether it's AI or digital twins, Web3s, or even 5G, 6G semiconductor chips. They're all coming together to form the next generation of the internet, which is more immersive, interactive, and intuitive. There is a very interesting concept proposed by a gentleman in the United States called John Redoff. He has a 7-layer of the whole metaverse. So IT infrastructure, spatial computing, decentralized, and all the way up to the traditional gaming, esports, and online shopping sector. So I think that's quite interesting. And if we want to talk about, say, the difference between Web3 and Metaverse, which is bigger, which is smaller, and I can tell you another interesting fact. So a lot of people say the Web3 concept was coined by, one of co-founder of Ethereum in 2014 about all this kind of, decentralized feature, especially to do with digital currency. But as early as 2003, the Linden dollars applied in Second Life is already linked with real exchange of US dollars, which make it a stable coin as early as 2003. That's 11 years earlier than the whole concept of Web3. So I say Metaverse is not necessarily decentralized or centralized, but perhaps for Second Life is quite decentralized in terms of like the payment system from the very beginning.
Thank you all. Various points there. I think the one that I'd like to pick up on that might be worth sort of going into a little bit of detail is that we spoke about how there's not just one metaverse, there's metaverses, and we spoke about open, closed, centralized, decentralized. Is one of the challenges, and we'll come on to challenges a bit later, but it's one of the challenges that we run the risk of there being this fragmented collection of metaverses that don't really interact with each other and interface, which makes it more difficult for us to get the full benefits from using or having the metaverse.
Yeah, I think that's a big issue. Not only in the world of the metaverse, but even around the world of digital currencies. Interoperability is a massive issue. The different networks don't talk to each other. This is not like the internet protocol, which is standardized, and you and I can all join different browser and we all have the same access. They're all within specific silos, and therefore, in order for this majority to use it effectively, we need to find a way to sort of link up together. So I think that's a massive issue we need to solve. There are already some companies out there who are looking to build some technologies which are in POC mode, which are looking to, for example, allow different networks to communicate with each other. I've tested out myself, for example, but it's not production. So these are still things which have to be solved for. And I think until those barriers are broken, we can't call anything the metaverse. Because right now, there are far too many different versions, from small startups to large like Meta and Microsoft.
Christine, I know that you're involved in some work in terms of standardization around the metaverse. Maybe it's worth picking up on that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, as the International Telecommunication Union within the UN ecosystem, so we have been having several hundreds of the world's top leaders, either governments or industrial experts or academia. We're working together to looking at how to address many of the technical challenges, especially when it comes to interoperability. Because I think for the wider metaverse ecosystem to really achieve mass adoption, we want to ensure the digital assets owned by individual players or citizens can be transferable between borders, between different metaverse ecosystem, or else almost stuck in one system. If that system somehow, do not really perform well in the years to come and they lost all their digital assets, it will be terrible. So I think we are at a stage, we managed to get a definition initially agreed in December last year in Geneva, which takes like several days of heated debate between different member states, as you can imagine. So we are going through the whole process now, and we are hoping maybe later this year, there will be more, refined technical standards coming out as a result, especially driven by very big, technology companies, telecommunication companies, because if we say the metaverse is going to be the future generation of the internet, how do we address the issue where 3 billion population in the world, 1/3, we don't have access to the internet? That's not really right? So we need to look into that. And also the digital divide is not only between developed countries as well as developing countries. There is digital divide between men and women, between people with special needs and people who don't need additional, support, and also between rural areas and, urban areas, as well as, between, people who are our aging society, say my parents, my, grandparents, they might be struggling to use some part of the metaverse ecosystem where a lot of us will say metaverse is really targeting the Gen Z. So how do we address that to ensure advancement of technology will really benefit people rather than widening the existing gap is quite important.
Great. So with regards to your original question about interoperability, those of you old enough to remember back in the early 90s, our internet, if any of you guys was internet back then, would you ever imagine that it would become what it is today? Probably not, unless you are kind of crystal ball, so probably not. So that's where we are with Metaverse today. Who knows what Metaverse is going to be in 10, 15 years? We don't know. Especially now with a new friend joining the party, generative AI. So we are on the same kind of intersection roads now. We're all trying to scratch our heads, figure out what the internet means, understand why we need it, why we need the internet. We have fax machines, why we need email, or why we need mobile phones. We have a phone line at home. So that's what we are today. Today, in terms of the metaverse, how we have all the answers clear, we all figure it out, not just us. The big guys in the valley, they're still doing the same than us, and they're all trying their best at it. And I think it's going to be a matter of evolution organically. And yes, Web3, it's only there. It will be Web3, Web4, Web5, Web6, and eventually we'll have the metaverse. And I think that's how we see evolving. It's all down to us. Hopefully in 5 years, when we ask that question, how many's got electrical wallet, or how many of you have an XR, or the new word, spatial computing? Probably 90% of you will raise their hands. It's a lot of work to do still.
You just reminded me of this video from, I think it was David Letterman interviewing Bill Gates.
Yes.
I was thinking, exactly the same. Like, yeah, this is repeating. I just wanted to add to what you say, Christina, that I think I mean, not all, of course, of the challenges that are there, but for inclusivity, I mean, from my aspect of as a designer, I think like design thinking is going to help a lot in that. Like, I mean, until now, it has also helped already a lot in 2D interfaces, but I think in how we build the metaverse, we have to also approach it the same way.
I'd just like to add a point, not specifically the metaverse, but around digital money and digital currencies. And as we're a techUK event, I just want to talk about issues being run in the UK at the moment, in the financial sector. There's a concept today that's been thought about, the fact that there's innovation happening in digital currency money in silos. You have central banks, which are creating central bank digital currencies. But like it or not, very soon you'll have a digital pound in your e-wallet. You have e-money, like Revolut, etc. You have commercial banks issuing money. Currently, whether it's sort of off-chain, that they're looking to deposit these tokens into the deposit token. JP has already launched something called 𝗬𝗃, which is basically commercial bank money on-chain that allows you to sort of transact and settle same day rather than currently with T+3. Between me making a payment cross-border to reaching the other side, you have various intermediaries, you have a depository bank, you have a custodian, although you've done that to each of the party in the country. And then you have obviously cryptocurrencies. So it's all happening in silos. And what the UK is currently doing an experiment on is called the UK Regulated Liability Network. The idea is that all money is currently siloed. If you create a centralized digital ledger with those centralized orchestration there around it, all these sorts of money can be transact on the same chain. That means things like the delivery versus payment can happen in reality. Today, if I go on Amazon, I select my card, I make a payment. I trust that tomorrow, the day after, the delivery man will deliver my item knock my door. That doesn't always take place. I have to go through a particular issue with raise a case with Amazon, and then it takes 3 days by the result. What's going to happen now is that if this project goes through, which is going to be an experimentation phase, the time I hit the button to buy on Amazon, I hit use digital pound or use my credit card, it will go and funds will get locked within the RLM. The idea is that funds get locked, and only when the item is delivered, it gets unlocked. That helps with liquidity and trust and ensuring this innovation. So the UK is already thinking about these sort of things, and this RLM experiment is happening. The discovery phase finished, the experimentation phase is kind of an RFP phase at the moment, and this is going to happen. So the idea is these silos are starting to be broken, especially in the financial service sector, which tends to be forward-thinking, but it's not there yet.
Thank you for that. Great input on that particular question. I think one of the things that you mentioned, 𝗂𝗃, I think prompts the next prompt for me, which is on use cases. And I know we've got varied experience and different backgrounds on the panel here. It'd be really good to help bring this to life for people here and talk about what are the current use cases that we're seeing and the potential use cases for the metaverse or the metaverses from areas like banking, from areas like real estate, and all the other areas that you guys have got experience with.
So back to the real world. So today within CBRE, as I said, quite a conglomerate, 30 billion revenue last year, 120,000 people all over the world, 500 offices across 100 countries. Today we do industrial metaverse and enterprise metaverse. I think that's important to make that distinction. We keep throwing the metaverse everywhere, and we're going to go back home today thinking the metaverse is around the corner, and it's not. It's quite far down the road. And I think it's important to start again, make that distinction of metaverses. We don't have to be into semantics, but I think it has to have that dialogue, have that discussion when we talk about. So in the industrial metaverse, which is where I live and where I am heading from CBRE, today we already deploying real use cases. It's not blue sky thinking, folks. It's not for next year. Today, in fact, we started this 7 years ago. 7 years ago, we were lucky enough to start our initiative internally. It's been very challenging, still very difficult. But today, we deploy mixed reality solutions. Today, we deploy mixed reality solutions through a number of headsets, which those headsets are being deployed to our CBRE frontline workers. Those are no managers, those are no lawyers, those are no satellite folks. These are technicians with a spanner, screwdriver, fixing HVAC systems, fixing data centers, fixing lab equipment, where they're using it purely for put the headsets on to do remote support, to help them to do remote inspections, to help them to do remote repairs, troubleshooting, as well as training. You know, yes, this is the vision of the metaverse as we all conceptualize. No, it's not. These are the first steps. These are the low-hanging fruit. Today, none one of you stops in your organization to start to embrace industrial metaverse through mixed reality. It's mixed reality or spatial computing, call it as you like it. No VR, big distinction. So today we have folks already walking around our offices and our clients potentially. I don't even know CBRE is part of this building, FM, facilities management. But we do have engineers today where they wear the headsets on and they walk into a machine, they have an issue, they need to call a subject matter expert, and can't really see through. Remember, mixed reality, no VR. So they'll be able to get indications on how to repair, on how to fix an issue. And guess what? While they do that, they record that and they use it as part of their knowledge library, knowledge strategy. Well, you see that before, folks. 7 million capital skill in the next 6-7 years. What are we going to do? The baby boomers generation are going to retire in the next 10-15 years. What we do today to capture all that knowledge? So most times they know nothing. We go from fire to fire, hope for the best, and live another day. So XR, spatial computing, the industrial metaverse, it clearly has to be one of those enablers helping us to bridge and mitigate that gap. I think I read the stat the other day, there was already 40 or 47% deficit in engineering skills in the UK today. Not 10 years down the road and 20 not today. So how are we going to meet that gap? There is not enough people coming through the ranks. There's not enough apprentices. So we need to tap into technology. XR, spatial computing, AI, is one of them. And then finishing the training. The training is huge opportunity. Why are we still today sitting on our desk watching 2D on a monitor and laptop? We've been doing that for decades. Would it be more fun if we could be able to interact, have a better enhanced experience? So that's what we do today as well in CBRE, is the training aspect, and also all the remote inspection. And the other thing that is the digital twins. Digital twins is paramount. Ultimately, digital twins is going to be the basis, the foundations for build that layer for the next years to build that metaverse. So today we already have a number of initiatives within CBRE where we tapping on setting up and digitalize our buildings through digital twins. Is that the metaverse? No. Is that industrial metaverses? Yes.
Thank you, Michael. Christina?
I think in addition to what you have already mentioned, another really interesting area for metaverse use case is actually for projects. Either they are too expensive, too dangerous, or too difficult to control in real-world environments. It's perfect for metaverse. So that's why defense and aerospace are utilizing metaverse-related, project already for many decades, quietly. And I remember there is an interesting use case of the US, Army utilizing metaverse for training. And there is a company called Improbable. They were invested $500 million by SoftBank, and they are all about defense and metaverse. Another area I would say, as I already mentioned, is smart city. So there is a report by ABI Research in November last year. They highlighted that by 2030, there will be nearly 700 cities in the world who will be utilizing metaverse-related technologies for urban planning. Because if you get a city urban planning wrong, that's huge loss we can't afford. And actually, one of the projects we have been working on is in collaboration with the Finnish government, looking at how to use metaverse to develop the whole city infrastructure all the way to have digital twin of individual citizens to prevent them from getting ill, to save the healthcare budget, all the way to like link with hundreds of like SMEs innovating within the ecosystem, connecting with like telecommunication providers to ensure the whole telecom of the cityverse, as we said in the UN, to be really secure. And the last part, I would say healthcare is massive, especially for drug discoveries and for surgeries. I interviewed a surgeon who has been using VR to successfully simulate and train 100+ medical staff together to separate a conjoined twins with fused brain in Brazil, but he's doing that in London. So that's going to be a lot of similar things happening in the years to come, which will provide a very strong use case moving forward.
Great, thank you for that, Christina. Some very good examples from both. Rajesh, did you have?
Yeah, I'll give you a few examples. DXC being one of the world's largest tech services firm, we often get involved in many projects. I'll first start with some projects which are non-banking and then some of which I'm aware of in the banking sector, which I'm more familiar with. In fact, with a competitor to CBRE, we actually built something around using the headsets to looking at the valuation of properties. When a valuation agent goes out to value a property today, they hold a clipboard, write things down on a clipboard, and then go back to the office, get some admin person, key back into the ERP or some system, which takes ages now, right? So you take something which is undigitized, digitize it, start with OCR, and then getting it to the digital format takes a while. It's not as efficient. With headsets and with the field agent being out there, the valuer being out there with VR headset immediately, that gets captured online digitally from the beginning natively, and gets sent directly onto the systems and ERPs. From a technical point of view, that's one example. We've seen, for example, medical trials where people are using the Metaverse technologies. They've been sort of testing out an operation that could take place of open heart surgery using Metaverse to train the surgeons who will do that, in a safe and coherent manner. We built a digital twin for the London Bridge station. It allows you to predict analytics to understand when a gate's going to fail, understand how to fix it almost in real time, rather than have to go to agents to get sent out immediately to get them fixed. So those are some examples. In the banking sector, there's quite a few examples. So if you think of these decentralized networks, people are experimenting. So JPMorgan is the first bank which set up a virtual lounge called Onyx within Decentraland. Really, these experimentations, you can walk around there and see that they have presence, and in the future they'll probably allow you to transact with it. You have our own HSBC in the UK set up basically a stadium in the sandbox that allows you to go in and sort of play a game, but obviously it's got the logo of HSBC everywhere. You walk around to the lounge, you talk to the history of HSBC, what are some innovations they've done, and the future is going to start transacting. This is about the next generation of customers wanting a different channel to interact with. If I remember, like 25 years ago when I did my dissertation at university, it was about multiple channels of banking. And I wrote about things like banking on TVs, banking on mobiles, etc. Today, who doesn't use a mobile for banking? I mean, it's kind of ludicrous. The last time I went to a brand or went on the internet was just for checking my banking transaction with ages ago, right? So the idea is this will be another channel for people to go banking. If you want to have a mortgage appointment, rather than just doing it over a phone call, you feel like you're part of you're actually working with an agent in slightly more virtual, but a persona, and it'll feel more interactive, right? So that's two examples. And then from I'd say from an investment banking point of view, the idea of tokenization, right? This is happening today already. We are tokenizing both the cash, so I said, cash deposits are being tokenized, central bank digital currency is coming, but the assets are being tokenized. So real estate is being tokenized as we speak in the Middle East, in Singapore, countries like that, which means it becomes more investable, right? We're fractionalizing an asset which is very difficult to invest in, and only the big corporates can invest in, or the pension fund managers. This allows you and I to have perhaps a fraction of the share within the UK, right? Which will have value, and you can then sell it in the secondary market. So the idea is actually, this is happening today, right? It's not something in the future. It's already happening today. And we just need to get more open eyes to look at these innovations that are happening today.
Just want to add one more. I mean, you already had a lot of examples, very cool, very good examples, thank you. I mean, the one where I'm working at right now is more the entertainment and gaming example, which is the most obvious now, obvious one, I guess, right? But it's also very exciting. I mean, we already see, like, with different technologies, like with haptics and with maybe these tracksuits, like we can do like unimaginable things that we were not able to do before, right? And they bring also audiences more near to the artists and to like fans and artists, bringing them together, or maybe making more immersive experiences, right? Like imagine watching a movie, like being in first person, right? Like inside of the movie, that would be amazing. There was another one. I'm not sure if you mentioned working, remotely working, which we already see. There are some examples there. And we see that after COVID, like remote and hybrid working just stayed. So this is also something that is just going to, remain, I think.
Another quick one, which I think that, how many of you want to do some pitches, some presentations? Probably most of you. I was talking to one of our business developers, very, very experienced one. He said, listen, we put in the same stuff, the same content, the same format than 20 years ago. We have all these people coming along all over the world, sitting here for half a day. We do PowerPoint by death, and then off you go. Surely there's other ways nowadays we could do that to bring a much more immersive experience. I'm not telling everyone getting a headset, especially especially C-suite folks that have a bit of a hate and love relationship of those folks. But something that we're trying today is how we can make those presentations a bit more engaged, a bit more fun, And today there's plenty of technologies where you can bridge that and bring the digital and the physical world together and move away from PowerPoint or whatever other 2D presentation system or platform do you use.
Thank you, Miguel, and thank you, Carl, for all those various angles to that particular question and answering it. I think, having heard what you guys said about potential, or where we are currently in terms of use cases, what would be really good to get into is the challenges. What are the kind of challenges that we're currently facing, could we face in the future, in terms of the metaverses, and it truly bringing out the benefit to businesses and individuals?
Yeah, so one of the key challenges I see, which is around regulation, right? Regulation and policing, and actually having you've probably seen or heard of actually the fact that people or women have talked about being assaulted on the metaverse recently, or either physically or verbally. And this is born of the fact that people feel that on the metaverse they're in a different world, it's virtual, it's not real, and they can do what they want. There's been a use case where a woman was walking around a horizon world within Meta and was verbally and physically abused by 4 or 5 guys on the metaverse. And she felt that this is not something she could have to live with. Why should she switch off her headset and just feel like it's something that she should live with, right? Why can't she enjoy the virtual world as she enjoys the physical world today? And I think just last week, Interpol came out with a paper which they're talking about, institutionalizing the idea that police forces across the world actually set up physical or virtual police stations at the different virtual worlds, whether it's Decentraland, whether it's Facebook, Meta. And the idea would be then somebody would feel comfortable to go and report that crime virtually as well, right? Again, you might find this stupid or far-fetched, but the idea that you feel safe in those worlds as well should be as important as feeling safe in real life, especially because people are going to start feeling their avatar being as closely associated with themselves. You're kidding yourself up with Gucci or Nike, as Miguel was talking about, your clothing up to the one you're representing closer to your skin tone, the way you look. So you might feel that it's you, right? So why should you feel safe in an environment? And again, from a regulation point of view, if you talk to Meta, they have a policy, a tool that uses their policy in terms of being able to say the person on the other side is actually a 5-year-old and not a 13-year-old, right? Or this person is abiding by these sort of laws or regulations. There isn't any regulation out there, and that's what we live up to in this country as well, ensure that we have the right regulation. And we have English law, which is the most important law in the world, and we should make sure that we are at the forefront of law around that and bringing that to the Metaverse.
I think another area perhaps we need to look at is really the user interface, because we still, perhaps majority of us are looking at augmented reality or virtual reality, and we all know virtual reality is great, but if you wear the handset for like half an hour or 1 hour, start to feel a little bit dizzy, have a headache, etc. So that's not really helping mass adoption. So as the very extreme of the other side, somebody else called Elon Musk is testing something called Neuralink, and he personally believes that to have the ultimate immersive user interface, you can put the computer chips in your brain to ensure it's really 24/7. You are going to feel very comfortable. And I heard that actually 2 days ago, he actually successfully, gets one chip planted into someone who is paralyzed, now to allow him to use this kind of new interface to interact with computer 24/7 without any problem. But the most interesting thing is there are a lot more less immersive brain-computer interface. I think there is another company called Syndrome, invested by Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. So they use graphene, a very special new material, to put the sensor small enough. You put it into your blood vessel and link with your brain to ensure they can allow like paralyzed people to actually interact. So I think there will be more similar user interface in the future. And I know in Tsinghua University, they now have non-invasive wearables. You put inside your inner ear, it will produce the same kind of high quality connection with your brain. So you don't need keyboards. You just use your brain to connect with the computer. All the immersive environments in the future, which I think will be fundamentally transformational. And I think another major challenge we all need to face for the wider discussion about digital transformation is the environment impact. How do we address that? I mean, in order to unleash the full potential of Metaverse, according to Intel 2 years ago, we need another 1,000 tons computing power. And I think, Laura, you probably will agree with me, content computing can provide part of the solution. But content computing itself, they still need to address the data centers, how you cooling down the data center, right? So I think European Commission is now putting 2 million euro to put the data center into the outer space, working with a group of companies to see how could that be a potential solution. So maybe we need to looking at the technology as a wider, discussion moving forward.
Great, thank you, Christina. Mikhail?
It might well, the industrial metaverse, again, nothing against the lawyers, by the way, but our biggest pain is cybersecurity. That is by far the biggest pain. Cybersecurity and the lack of understanding among CBA lawyers and lawyers in general and IT security folks. You would have thought those folks would be in the pinnacle of technology, pinnacle of understanding, but no, they are still on, managing product systems. So that's, believe it or not, that's what I spend most of my time. Cybersecurity, convincing organizations, convincing folks that it's all sound, it's all secure, it all runs in the right. And then cybersecurity is one, and then the other big one is privacy, because now we realize that with headsets in your head, you have cameras, and you can record stuff, and you can show stuff, which clearly before we couldn't do with mobile phones and laptops. But now all of a sudden, because it's in your head, it sort of sets big panic alarms to everyone. So lots of discussions, interesting discussions with lots of legality and understanding the privacy aspect, the cybersecurity aspect, and it's been painful, and still, but we're getting there.
Thank you for that, Mikhail. I'm very conscious of time, so I just want to make sure that we've got enough time to ask you individually a specific question before we close the panel session, which is, what final message would you like to leave the audience with from your perspective in terms of what we discussed today with the Metaverse?
I'll just start off with a key message. I think based on the answer to my question, it's a very few people with their hands up. I think we should start experimenting with this. Let's not fear these technologies. Let's not burn our head in the sand. This is already happening. Let's just go buy a Metaverse or some sort of VR headset, go get some digital wallet and start experimenting. Go to these platforms and use them, right? Understand, where it can actually help you in your firms as a new channel, potentially, in your personal lives, where they help you to perhaps engage better with other communities, without having to travel. Look at, buy some crypto and use it, right? These sort of things are happening. And if we fall asleep in this country, we're going to be well behind. But as I said today to some of my fellow panelists, if you go to China, they've already got digital currency out there, central bank digital currency out there. If you go to India, they're experimenting with a digital rupee. And here in the UK, we're sort of debating, should there be digital pound, should there not be one? Is there privacy around there? Is it programmable? Can I get my payments tracked? This is all going to happen, and I think we just have to be open up to eyes to the fact that we should embrace these technologies, of course, with privacy, cybersecurity, and other regulatory issues around it to be covered, but this is happening. So let's start experimenting with them, let's start using them, because otherwise we'll fall behind.
I quite think very similar. As you noticed, I don't come from here. I live in Germany, so there's a terminology German angst. So this is very lived there. So people are very, very afraid of everything that is new and changes. And this is very limitating. This is for me actually the fear that I have is that we are going to be behind of everything because everyone is ahead. So just don't have any fear and try out things. And in the company where I am right now, 3 years ago, we didn't have a product, and now we have a product that we can use with all the devices that are out there right now. So this is great, right? We were a little bit ahead of everything, but now it's a little bit on time. So start now to do something about these topics. I think it's just coming.
I couldn't agree more. Think big, start small, fail quickly, learn even faster, and just go and do it, folks. It's not rocket science. It's easier than if I figure out, most of you should be able to figure it out. So go there, try it, test it. That's how we start. Yes, start with a big vision, but start small, nimble, and just grow organically. And before you realize, you have a platform there. And that's how we started 7 years ago in CBRE. I had one of those eureka moments, and now I'm running a team fully dedicated to deliver XR solutions within CBRE. And it started as an idea 7 years ago. Start very small and growing organically. So don't overdo it. Don't we're going to get complicated. Just do it.
Not like it yet.
Please.
Christina?
3 points. First point is I wonder, because techUK is already planning to do a major campaign around Metaverse in spring this year. So could we calling for a national strategy for Metaverse in the UK? Because various other countries has been doing that. Why shouldn't we doing that and leave the world? That's the first point. And the second point for all of us here today, I think not only paying attention to the, I would say, more on the user interface side of the Metaverse, but also pay more attention to the financial digital asset of the Metaverse. Because the whole approval by the US government of ETF on Bitcoins is going to have a major impact in the years to come around the whole global ecosystem around the Metaverse. Because imagine every single real world asset is going to be tokenized. I think there's a figure something like $600 trillion US value. And the current global GDP is only $100 trillion US. So that's going to give a lot of local governments, national governments, huge liquidity to doing all the big infrastructure we're talking about, quantum technologies, AI, supercomputing, etc., that will support the whole metaverse ecosystem to come in the years. So how can we play a part of that will be important. And my last point is, life is short, let's do it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. So on that note, thank you, panelists Erica, Raj, Christina, and Mikkel. I hope you guys found it useful. Thank you for your time.